Well, let's try it again. If you're a dad, you're wondering sometimes when you come home, what in the world happened? You walk in the door and everything you expected to happen does not or did not. So here's an example. I'm preparing to come online, preparing to go live. And what happened? Nothing worked. Nothing I clicked on worked. No stream, no Facebook, no YouTube, no live stream. I didn't prepare for all of that. I prepared just to have a great conversation with the dad. So if you are here and you can hear me, let me get some kind of acknowledgement that you can hear me. Let me know if you are here. My name is Brian Hill, and we're going to be working with the fathers of adult children. I run the company Boss Mobility Life Coach Services and AI Boss Mobility Consulting. And today I simply want to have a conversation with the fathers of adult children. I've been working on this for 15 years, trying to share what I've learned, share what I'm learning. It took so long just to get to this point. Wow. Hard to believe it's actually happening. But it is. All right, so what are we going to do today? We're going to learn. We're going to try to communicate with you. Going to try to share some personal stories, things that I've gone through that may or may not benefit you. But if you're a father of adult children, I guarantee here's what we are all going through. The Papa Life conversation. I call that internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. I call that Papa Life. So welcome those of you that are here. And if there's a way for you to let me know that you are, I sure would like you to put I am here in the chat, or I can hear you. Either of those would be helpful. At this moment, can't tell who's here. And I certainly would like to do that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do the best we can with what we have and what we prepared. If you're here and you came to find out what this is about, who I am, why am I doing this, well, I hope that you'll get something out of this. Welcome. If you came today, you have a son or a daughter, fully grown, let's say 30 and up, 25 and up to 50, whatever the case is, you know you had some issues. You used to be hugged when they were smaller. They used to run up to you and you used to connect with them in different ways. He called you a nickname or you gave them a nickname. And now, over the years, things have deteriorated, changed. It's not the same as it used to be. And in some situations, you feel like a stranger to your adult kids. So who am I? My name is Brian Hill. I've been married to my wife Elise for 49 years in 2 weeks, May 21st. We got married May 21st, 1977. Wow, it's hard to believe. 50 years ago, we were seniors in high school, graduating out of high school. Woo! So we got married in Richmond, California. I am a certified peer support specialist with a master's degree in education, got my training at Cal State University East Bay, and a peer wellness collective at Best Now. And this is even harder to say. I'm a man who basically watched my own heart walk away from my oldest daughter. Internal. You see, as a father, I wanted to blame, point my finger, shift the responsibility, and carry that silence and blame it on her for almost 20 years. And I call that internal conversation I had with myself Papa Life. Every man has it, and not everybody's invited into that conversation. So this is my opportunity to say, what in the world have I learned now that my children are 20, 25 years past when you grow up and graduate college and leave home at 18? So I'm sharing not from above, that I'm the best or I know and you don't. That's not what I'm doing. This is not blame your child or point fingers at all the things you want to say to them. That's not what we're doing. The reason why this room exists right now is to give the fathers an opportunity to have a conversation with yourself, with other fathers who are having a conversation with themselves. Remember, I call it Papa Life. You know, when our kids turned 18, the rules changed. The rules of parenting changed, shifted. And that silence after they leave the house is pretty loud. It just simply gets louder and louder and louder as they grow and change. It gets so loud that you try to not listen to it, not hear it, not acknowledge it. You don't want to be aware of it. And what it is the truth about what this conversation is right now, is about the truth that we have had with ourselves, the conversations we have tried to run away from. We didn't go in and learn how to repair what pattern we set up. We didn't even know what broke in some situations. We didn't know there may have been a problem or a disconnect. Most children know. They know. We knew, though, internally we missed the mark. We were just trying to be good providers. But here's the truth I want you to plant in this hour before we go any further. No matter what situation you're in with your adult children, as long as you both are alive, it's never too late. Let me say that again. As long as you both are alive, it is never too late. So what we're doing here right now is the next few minutes, I'm going to share some things that I've learned about myself in my Papa Life conversation. And it's the story of how I believe I lost my relationship with my daughter, and I had to find that relationship again. I used to minister, teach college, counsel some of the community colleges around. Been in the same church 40 years, and I literally have learned so much between marriage of 49, being in the same church 40, 42 years, watching our children grow and change. The awareness that I needed to become aware of, that conversation was so strong, yet so silent. I didn't want anyone in that conversation but me. And even though the church I attend teaches really well, getting together with each other and spending time talking things through with other men, I resisted that. And everyone that knows me knows I'm telling the truth. So the framework is simply to help other fathers. That's why I'm trying to articulate with words what I have learned. And I put some things together, and I call it the 5-step path. And lastly, this exercise we're doing tonight with our hands, with our eyes, with our ears, begins with wrestling that silence away. I asked AI to go through my Google Drive and put a book together for me. And so it did. I didn't write it. I wrote it through my life and things that are on my computer. And it came up with the title, Why the Silence? I thought, that's appropriate. So if you're here with me right now, please put the word here in the chat if you're able to. That'll at least give me an idea that I'm not talking to myself. All right, let's see who's here. Who is in the room? Let me look at the chat. And so far, I don't see the first here. Who's gonna drop it? Come on, somebody. Let me know you're here. All right. So until that happens, I'll acknowledge you as I see you. But let me begin by how I got to this point in my life. When I was about 11 years old, I grew up in Chicago, born in 58, so that means 69. I saw my father leave our family, saw him walk out the door. And I remember thinking, where are you going? And that question is 55 years old now? Yeah, I'm 67, so yeah, it's somewhere in there. I've been thinking about it a long time. But when I became a dad, I swore to myself, I'm never going to leave my kids. No way. And now that 49 years has gone by from that commitment I made to God and myself and my children and my marriage, I'm so grateful to know I could do at least one thing to create a pattern that would be helpful in teaching and training my children and raising them up. I remember thinking, I want to get married. That was my thumb. This is how I set my goals. I want to get married, have children. And with those children, I want to teach them, guide them, train them, and then send them back into the community to contribute to society. I never forgot that. When I look at them today or I look at the grandchildren, I go, I remember when you were not even a thought. And then I remember when they grew up and I saw that. Maybe that's why God allowed Felicia and I to get together at 17 and 18 years old, because we have seen a lot together. We've grown and changed. And at this point, I'm really convinced that fathers are the ones who need to be retrained, retaught, and actually have a conversation about how to make that shift from when they were children to now that they are adults. So I remember the moment in my spirit where my conversation went silent with my daughter. I have 3 kids, but I'm just going to use the first one as an example because usually you learn from your first child. Until I saw when the adult years came, I remember feeling, man, why am I shutting myself out from her? Why am I not talking to her? Why is my wife talking to her all the time? And they laugh and talk and have a good time. And I'm like, not even here, but I'm here physically. But something is missing. And I tracked that in my heart of hearts, gave it a name called Papa Life. Holidays, birthday celebrations, I would always watch myself feel like I'm not here. I'm just watching, I'm just listening. I told myself, if I say anything in this conversation, you're going to mess it all up. Don't interrupt their conversations. Don't try to be the same age. I convinced myself to just kind of move out of the way, even though I was physically there. So it was kind of a building bridge, let's say, 15 to 20 years when I started seeing the pattern. I felt like I couldn't break the silence. No matter what I would have said, this is not against my child. This is my Papa Life conversation was preventing me from participating. I didn't want to play games. I did not like games. I didn't want to play cards, all that kind of stuff that I think makes you draw close to people together. Didn't do it. Never could get past that point. So I'm sure I created the pattern that I was beginning to believe that I wasn't there. I think the turning point came and what changed me in being able to be aware and open to communicate to myself that this pattern you created must stop. You say you love God, you say you are a Christian, you have all these biblical studies you've done, and you should not be going through this, but I was. And I wanted to speak, but I think my faith was low. I think the fear was bigger than my willingness to use my words. I kept giving myself excuses that you can't change this pattern. And because I modeled that for so many years, what I got back was silence because I created that. I remember when there was a certain point in one of her children's lives that there were some decisions that he was making. And I was watching this decision. Spirituality is very important, very, very important. I can be highly opinionated. I can come across as if I know. Anyway, that conversation was happening internally within their own family. And I remember thinking, am I going to say anything? Nope. Here's the message that I wanted to send to my Papa Life. Build her up, let her know she's done the very best she can. Her son would not be in this position thinking about what he's thinking about if she had not modeled how to give, listen, love, and serve. So as the kids were growing up, the one of the children made some good spiritual decisions, and I remember supporting that and making sure I let her know I support whatever decision you make. I'm not right in what I think and what I know. Certainly, I'm not going to put that off on you. And I remember the Papa Life breaking through. It came through. I said it. Nothing happened. No earthquake. Whatever I created to set up the pattern that I did, the only person that was relieved really was me. So what I know now is being honest, open, genuine, and real with Papa Life. That means you yourself. You got to learn how to talk to yourself and not blame or point or project anything that your older child is doing. It's you, Dad. It's almost as if I should have went to schools of how to be a parent during the adult children's first time out of the house. Let's say from 20 to 40, that's their first time out of the house. And obviously from 40 on, they're completely, fully responsible because they've been through it 20 years of living and then 20 years as an adult and or mom or dad. So I'm glad that I had that conversation with her. I remember the shift in my own heart where I wanted to change the pattern, and that changed. I stopped creating things that weren't there. I started to grow a little bit in my, I think in my Papa life, I wanted to feel that I could have conversations without pointing or blaming or stopping the conversation. It's a work in progress. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm aware enough to know that this is not my only one that's having this problem. Okay. Again, I'm not telling you this because my story is special or that I'm perfect with my adult children or even my daughter, but I just want to start this dialogue for the guys. And I thought if I did have this conversation of Papa Life with other fathers, how would I do it? I know I don't want to be open with people in front of a group and have my stuff spilled all in front of everyone and got to sit with that truth or take responsibility in front of others. That was the worst image and focus I planned for myself that I would never do that. And so I separated myself and kind of kept that silence even with other people. So I'm not preaching. I'm not trying to moralize or tell you what to do, how to do, or when to do. I'm just testifying that I have learned. Fathers of adult children, I cannot be alone in this thought, need to be taught, need to have a facilitated conversation. What do you live like? How do you respond? How do you show up for your adult children? Nothing to do with what they have to change. It's all inside of us. So the 5 steps or the path that I've created is the first one is regret. From regret to reflection. Most fathers get stuck in regret. Regret is a closed loop. It eats you alive and it doesn't move you. The first move is to convert your regret into reflection. I have been reflecting with you, and I don't know who you are or who's watching, but I've gone from regret to reflection. That's what one thing fathers of adult children need. Change the pattern by going from regret to reflection. When you convert that regret into reflection, reflection simply asks, what did I do? What did I miss? What was I taught about being a man that I'm now passing on? If you are listening in the chat, just type one thing you regret as a father. Don't explain. Just type one thing. Pop it in the chat. All right, we're going to move to step number 2. From confusion to understanding. After you reflect, confusion will come because you'll see your part in the pattern you created. And you won't understand why. That's where most men quit. Confusion isn't the enemy. Confusion is the doorway. The difference between what we were taught about manhood versus what our adult children actually need. The difference between what we were taught about manhood versus what our children really need. Number 3, humility to listening. This third step is one that takes years off most men's lives. Humility, me, not a weakness, not groveling. Humility is, as you reflect, move from regret to reflection, or move from reflection to confusion, or humility to listening. Humility is the ability to listen to your adult child's experience of you without defending yourself. I wasn't ready for this in 2005. I specifically remember my children and my wife were all talking about that. What he did, what he does, what bothers them, what hurts them, wish he would stop. And I exploded because I couldn't handle the words, the truth. I didn't know how to process that in front of them. That's why I remember it so vividly right now, because I was so young, inexperienced in how to take truth, unwilling, unable to listen to truth. So I would say humility was the one thing I never had. I understood it intellectually, didn't live that way. Again, humility is not weakness. It's not groveling. Humility is the ability to listen to your adult child's experience of you without defending yourself. I had so much pride to hold on to or protect, or wasn't good. Created the wrong pattern. I think God left that, seared that in my mind so I could see you're not there yet. Don't ever go back there if you are going to continue to change. 4th step is courage to conversation. This is the 4th step. It's the hardest. It's probably why Papa Life in my mind stopped trying to get me to do this. It was 20 minutes after 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. By the time I was able to go live and speak, and things that I needed in the background were in order. That was Papa Life trying to shut it down. But I said, no. When things don't go well as a dad, you're on a home, you come home and everything is out of order. You have to decide how you're going to respond. You either quit, pout, walk away, and stay away. Don't talk, don't connect. Or you figure it out and work through it. And I remember for that 20 minutes before I went live, I remember thinking, something just went wrong. This was not the plan, but you're going to sit with this. And you're not going to walk away. You're not going to quit. You're not going to say, forget it, didn't work. You're not going to say, nobody helped me. This is not supposed to happen. And so until that button went live, here we are. That's a lesson of courage for me. It's hard because you got to pick up the phone in the case of your adult child, or text or email or Zoom or use a video, whatever your communication style is. And then you got to send it or ring that, make that connection with no guarantee that anything would happen on that link. Step 5, and you might want to take a pen on this one, or use your phone, take a piece of paper, or take a piece of paper. Now it's open your phone and use AI or use text and write this down. I'm sure we all have one. Here are the 3 words at the top. You should type into your phone or write this wherever you would write it, wherever you would see this communication. I am sorry. That's it. Don't write anything else. Just, I'm sorry. And then sit with that. Sit with that, say that, read that again. I am sorry. It isn't a destination in step 5, reconnection to peace. That's step 5, reconnection to peace. It's a practice. Reconnection happens in 1,000 small moments, not a big one-off experience or a breakthrough. And peace is when you get to carry, whether they've ever picked up the phone or not, you're okay with that. Some of you will reconnect with your adult children this year. Some of you won't. But every one of us can find peace. Every one of us. Because peace is not something you do, it's something they give you. I'm at peace with my children. They've all given it to me. Even the grandchildren are able to give, listen, love, and serve. That's what brings me peace. All of us can find peace in spite of, regardless of what we've done or where we are in our current pattern that we set up. Because peace is something that they give you, yours is coming. As long as you're alive, you can thrive. All right, I'm gonna get ready to close this out. We've accomplished one thing today. We did not quit. We did not back off. We tried not to be robotic or overwhelm you with knowledge. It was simply a conversation that Brian Hill had with himself, and he called it Papa Life. And now it's a framework that consists of purpose, authority, presence, and alignment. I gave you 5 things to consider. Let me review that again before we go. You want to move from regret to reflection. Next, you want to go from confusion to understanding. That confusion will generate understanding. It's a doorway to understanding. The third thing we talked about was humility to listening. From humility to listening. Your child doesn't need your explanation. They need your ears. The fourth one was go from courage to conversation. From courage to conversation. For the next one, the fifth one, is to go from reconnection to peace. It's not a destination, it's a practice. It happens over 1,000 small moments, not with one breakthrough. Again, some of you will reconnect with your kids, some of you won't, but because peace is something you get something they give you, you get to look forward to that. All right, I'd like to open it up for those who would like to either make a comment, ask a question, or give us a thought about what's happened as you've been listening. And if nothing has happened, that's fine too. But I want to give the opportunity for those who might want to ask a question or share their thought about what they think is important. And if that does not happen, we are fine with that too. There's a book that is called The Clarity Session Conversation. One with me that you can have if you go to calendly.com/Brian Keith Hill. We can begin to have that conversation. That's how you book an appointment with me. And if you're still listening and reflecting on what we went through today, what's the first move when your adult child has cut contact completely? What's the first thing you did or that you do? And then how do you apologize without making it about yourself? What if your wife disagrees with how you're handling it? What's your response? And how long do you think reconciliation takes? These are not normal conversations with a barbershop, with the guys in the barbershop or on some sport team. This is a conversation that's unique to each person, and only when that person is ready to discuss their Papa life. Again, I call Papa life that internal conversation dialogue we have with ourselves. So if you want to take the opportunity to start practicing that, go to bossmobilelifecoach.com/Papa-journey. You can talk to the Papa Life AI. You can have conversations, ask questions. I know that some of us just really need to have a private conversation with ourselves, but you also need feedback. I was not very good at getting feedback from people. Verbal words sometimes send my thoughts in the wrong direction, and defensiveness comes up more than acceptance and listening and communicating with the right heart. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close it down for now. If we didn't start on time, we can actually end on time. And if anyone has any questions, you can go to bossmobilelifecoach.com/Papa-journey or papalifecoach.com. There is a beginning free conversation you can have with yourself. These little workshops are free, but you can start learning what are the 4 pillars. How do you start practicing purpose, authority, presence, and alignment? Those are my core pillars of my course. And I charge $4.99 for anything that I've learned, whether it's on video, written, email, text, audio. I got this from the live streaming community. There's a small number you pay for all the content you want to learn from. You just click on it because you're paying for a subscription monthly. I'm following that same pattern, and I believe it's the right pattern for us, fathers of adult children. I'll be joining you again tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And we hopefully will have a different experience where we can start on time because we've had this courageous moment to work through it. All right, everyone, to be continued. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hearing me. For those of you that have been with me for many, many years, I'm finally taking the courage to step out and share what I've learned. All right, to be continued. Talk to you tonight.